Good evening, afternoon, night, morning, whenever you find your way to watch, listen to this podcast. It is me, Omar Rashan Borja, the Burger Popper from the Hardware Pod. And again, just coming with more interviews, more offseason interviews during the draft season with another player from the Unity Bowl. Jackson will be joining us sometime soon in the offseason. He's got some big family news that I won't share exactly until he comes on. I'll let him share that news. But until then, it's just me rolling through the offseason with these interviews and various offseason topics in the world of college football. Today, I'm joined by one of the stars of the Unity Bowl and a player that had an amazing performance on that game. Khalirti Zhao had 4 touchdowns in that game. Khalirti, thanks for joining, and how's everything going? We're so glad to have you. I can't hear.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Hello. Sorry about that.
No
Thank you
worries.
so much. I appreciate it. I'm very blessed for the opportunity. Super grateful to be here. And I don't want to spread or have any false information be spread, but it was 3 touchdowns at that game. I had three for anyone watching. But I'm very grateful and thankful to be here, man. I've been doing all right, been very blessed, can't complain. Trying to finish school. It's a pain in the butt, but I'm finishing, trying to finish my master's.
That's amazing to hear. What degree field are you studying for your master's?
Sports administration. And my undergrad was a BA in international business.
Wow, that's amazing. Definitely a well-rounded academic sort of resume there. I can't really find the words, but I did lose count of how many touchdowns. Honestly, it was so much. I mean, you were the go-to guy at the Unity Bowl, and many good receivers. You definitely shine. Something I started last podcast with Eric Montes from Delaware State. That was his idea. Is what are some interests slash talents that you had that the public may not know about to kind of, I guess, spice things up. I know we're talking about your career and the draft process. What are some things that the public may not know about Khalid Zhao?
Some things the public may not know about me. I'm a really avid and big gamer. I'm very humble and don't like to say I'm good at a lot of things, but one thing I am really good at that I take pride in is gaming. I'm a really good gamer, and I've actually been told I should stream. And I've always been like kind of putting that off, but I don't know. Who knows? I might start one pretty soon, try and stream. But another thing that a lot of people don't know about me is I love nature. I love to fish. I'm a real big fisher guy. I have a lot of family in Alaska and up north that people don't know about, so I usually go up there every summer and do some fishing. And I want to get into learning how to surf and ski and snowboard. Actually,
Wow, it's amazing. I mean, just on opposite ends of the spectrum with gaming and then surfing and fishing. We're 2 for 2 so far this offseason with interviews. Eric Montes was also a big fisher. That's what he said his talent was. What games are your specialties?
you name it, I can play. I can play a lot of assortment of games. Like right now, my screen's open on. I've been playing MLB The Show, getting ready for the new one to drop. MLB The Show 25. I play 2K. I play Call of Duty. I've played Fortnite. I've played Rainbow Six Siege. I've played. You know, it's funny. I'm a football player, but I stay away from the football games because it's just how unrealistic it is in sport. And out of all the sports games you can play, whether it's NHL or MLB or NBA 2K or Madden, I think Madden is like the most unrealistic. And sometimes some of the animations you get in those games, it could be, I don't want to say rage inducing, but it can be annoying. So I'd stay away from it. I save myself the pain and don't even play that game. But yeah, you name it, I can play most things and get adjusted to it quick. I'm a quick learner.
Wow, that's definitely great to hear. For me, I've played a lot of college football 25 lately. I didn't really take a break from gaming. I just got so busy. I just never really gamed that much. Still, I probably play a couple times a week, college football 25. I do understand that though, with I guess the football games and the I guess aggravation towards Madden, particularly not getting any better each year. I haven't played a new Madden in years, honestly.
Yeah, I haven't got a Madden in a while. I don't think usually if I get a Madden, someone's game sharing it with me, but I don't. I have not spent money on Madden in probably over 5 or 6 years. And even one of my friends got College Football 25 and game shared it with me, and I think I opened the game once, but didn't even play it. But I do hear people say it's an improvement from Madden. It's better than Madden to play. But I've also watched some of my friends play, and you still see some of those animations or dumb missed tackle animations or you know what I'm saying, all that stuff that can be annoying and triggering. So
Yeah, I totally get it too as I'm running through my dynasty mode. But I guess it's bearable. Honestly, we waited over a decade for college football
yeah,
25.
yeah, and I think that's on. I think a lot of people love that and want that to keep going. So, I think that's trending in the right direction in terms of football games. Is just me like it's probably just not my speed. I like to play real football over animated football. Cause I know that's for sure something better than is playing it in real life.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue to talking about your career at St. Thomas. So you had a productive career to say the least. You caught 127 passes for over 2,000 yards and 19 touchdowns, including a year where you averaged over 20 yards per catch in 2023. But I want to know what made you choose St. Thomas of all schools.
So I'd returned back to playing football my senior year of high school. I actually wasn't playing it throughout then. It's another fun fact about me is that I played as a little kid and then stopped. And going up through middle and high school, I was playing every other sport except for football. I played volleyball, which a lot of people, that's probably my best hidden talent is that I'm a really good volleyball player. I think I could play college volleyball if I wanted to. But St. Thomas University just started a team this past year. And I was already like too deep into football and they had already kind of had some guys. So, you know, I couldn't be able to play, but I feel like I was really good at volleyball. So I played volleyball, basketball in high school, and even in middle school. Played a little bit of soccer. So I'm a big sports, just overall sports fanatic person. I'm a fan of sports. I'm a fan of all that stuff. And I'm even big into hockey right now. It's really the big thing. That like I try to stay focused on and continue to learn this hockey. But St. Thomas University, it was my only offer, honestly, coming out of high school in the state of Florida. I had a couple schools out of state. Like I had one I think in Delaware, another one I think in Minnesota, one in I want to say Virginia or West Virginia, I think, but just too far from home. I didn't want to leave home and be that far away. I still want to be within the state of Florida. A drivable distance that you can make it, same day, kind of one trip and not have to stop on the way or what I'm saying. So I feel like St. Thomas, it worked out. That was God's plan, and I trusted him. And what I'm saying, I don't regret the decision I made. I don't regret anything that happened there. I'm super thankful for it. Super glad it happened. So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, playing at home is definitely a huge advantage playing in front of family. And of course, like you said, I mean, God numbers our steps, and those who trust in the Lord are blessed. No matter how, I guess, winding the path may seem, He always leads us to greener pastures. A question I have off that as well is looking at St. Thomas's history. Uh, you look at the NAI, you have your traditional powers like Carroll, which you guys played, I want to say it was 22 or 23 up in Montana. But St. Thomas is a relatively young program, started in 2019, only 5 years ago. What was it like playing for such a young program and building that foundation? Because St. Thomas has been successful almost right away, and you have a big part of that.
My girlfriend's coming home, but geez, you know, I can remember being there and us not even having a true field to play on. My first year being there, or my first year and a half, we didn't have a field to play on. We were playing on the high school field next to us, Pace High School, and just even like the one nice grass field that was there was for our soccer team, so we couldn't even step on it or practice on it. So we used to practice in this dirty, muddy field, and barely. My coaches used to say that they started with an office with probably three or four rooms in it, and about eight footballs, and that was about it. And 30 guys that spring when they started that program. So to see it blossom from that to what we are now, having two fields built, a big jumbotron, the biggest jumbotron in the Sun Conference, or biggest scoreboard in the Sun Conference, them starting stadium construction, things like that, and seeing them be or us be 9-2, 9-2, I think 9-4, and then 10-1 or 10-2 this past year. Like the growth in that program, um, it's been humbling to be a part of. But it's been very great to say the least. I've been very blessed to be able to help lead and steer that program to where they are now and to help them achieve new heights. And I'm just hoping and praying that they continue to just those who are still there, they're able to take some like from all us older guys, because we put a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and time into that program and a lot of sacrifices that we hope don't get wasted. We unfortunately didn't come out with I don't want to say didn't come out with anything from it, but didn't come out with any hardware, no conference rings, any championships like that. But hopefully it wasn't in vain. Hopefully there's a reason for it. Hopefully those guys continue to grow, and we'll reach that plateau in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean the rise of St. Thomas is meteoric. I mean to say the least. And like you said, or like you said, like 9-2, 9-win seasons, all that. Even a couple games against FCS teams, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But you mentioned the Sun Conference. Mostly Florida schools, at least playing football. All Florida schools. I mean, in that league, there's a lot of opportunities to build rivalries. So what would you say was St. Thomas's biggest rival in that conference?
Our biggest rival of that conference, and it's hard for me to say, but it's definitely Florida Memorial University. They're technically our crosstown or across the street rival. So my first year truly playing, because my freshman year I didn't play. I was on the scout team, so my second year was Florida Memorial's first year, and that was the first ever annual battle of Miami Gardens, and the atmosphere at that game, and for that to be my first ever career game, that game was special. I'll never forget it. Especially because some of the plays I made in that game, it was just, geez, it was freaking packed out. It was hot. You had ups, you had downs, you had everything there that you can imagine in a football game, especially in the opening one for the season. But I'd say those are our probably rivals. Even when they might not have as good as a record as us or the skill or talent as us, they always made found a way to make the games competitive. At least in the first half. I think in every game I played against them, except for maybe this past year, uh the score was close to half, except for this past year. We were up, I think, already two or three touchdowns. But every other game we go into halftime thinking like, yeah, we gotta, chin up. It's gonna be a dogfight the rest of the way. They're gonna continue to play their life out and, play as hard as they can to try and upset us and ruin our season. Because they knew that we had more to play for than them. With playoff pictures and playoff hopes and aspirations to win the conference. So they always try to ruin that. But also another team, of course, that we can never get, but they always had our number is Kaiser University, who was national champions 2 years ago. Been to the national championship game, I think 3 years in a row now, though. And they, we've had them a couple times really close, up big at half, let them come back and win. This past year, we were down at half and then came back and had the lead and lost in the last 3-4 minutes of the game. That was another close one. So it's been a lot of battles with them. Seen them in the playoffs, couldn't get them, and so unfortunately, whether we liked it or not, they became our rivals within our walls and our program. We knew that they always had our number, and we just had to get them. And unfortunately, while my time there, we couldn't. But it was a blessing to be a part of those games and that competition. Those are the games you live and dream to play for. And so even though I didn't come out on the winning end of any of them, unfortunately, I can still say I was grateful for them and blessed. Because everything is a lesson in my book.
Yeah, I agree with that philosophy. Really, I mean, every day, just you learn, you live and learn. I mean, as long as your head hits a hay and you rise to live for another sunrise.
And also, before we get off this topic, I also want to shout out all the other teams in the Sun Conference because we've had close games with all of them. When we started as a young program, a lot of them had us beat. They had our numbers early on, but those next couple of years when some of us started coming in and started change the program around and turning it around and have it on the rise, we started, winning and beating them a lot of them, and it became from them being like our bigger brother to us being their bigger brother, and us having the targets on our back, knowing that we were up and coming, and a lot of teams knew, and we were already known for having high power offense, averaging over 40 points a game, and teams used to come in and try to have a shootout with us, and teams will come and play their best, knowing that some of them didn't have nothing to play for. Some of their seasons were already over, playoff aspirations, but they always made it competitive. Like Weber International University this year played. That was probably one of the best games I've ever been a part of in my life. Being down 10 with 3 minutes left and possibly them knocking us out of the playoffs if we don't come back and win that game with 3 minutes left. Scoring a quick touchdown, getting an onside kick, and scoring again. Being able to win that game was insane. But what I'm saying, I've had close battles with them. Even won our first year, or not our first year, but my first year playing. So it was year 3 of the program, and We blew them out the past year twice, and then we didn't blow them out twice, but we blew them out once, and another time they took us to OT and we won, and then that next year we were down 10 going into the fourth or down 7, and you know we ended up scoring I think 26 points in that fourth quarter. So that was a dogfight of a game, and they were I think it finished the bottom of our Sun Conference that year. So um, every single team that we've had in our conference has put us in a dogfight, had us on the ropes. It was a true test, even against Southeast University. Like they were a powerhouse program for a while, and they still are. But these past couple years, we've kind of caught up to them, and I could say we've passed them because we've beat them the past 4 matchups. So we've been able to have their number recently, and even though they've kind of fell out of the top 25 rankings and are kind of on the bubble to make those rankings and make the playoffs, they still are competitive no matter what. So, like I said, shout out to every single team in that conference because they've all done their time and have put us through a test. So it's fun going up against every single one of them. And we all at the end of the day root for each other. Like when one of us makes the playoffs, we want to see each other win. Or when we play a team that's not in our conference and they have an out of state game, we're hoping for them to win so they can put on a good presentation and representation for the Sun Conference. Because a lot of the voters and all the coaches who controlled and determined the coaches poll weren't really friendly to us the first couple of years. So, helping, any of us on conference teams winning and being any of those teams up north or in the, northeast or in the central and the kind of the mid states, it put on for the Sun Conference and teams and the coaches and the committee knew like, oh, these guys are actually good and, they deserve a shot to, get a true ranking and be able to play in the playoffs. So just shout out to the Sun Conference.
Yeah, I mean, Florida, we all know, all of us watch football know Florida is a very talent rich state. You yourself are from Florida, and the Sun Conference, like you said, shows just at all levels of college football, Florida is a force to be reckoned with still. And yeah, just looking across the schedule, just so many great games, so many competitive games. Like even from a layman's perspective, someone who doesn't follow NAIA that closely, Southeastern rang a bell, and of course, like you mentioned, Kaiser being the national champion. So I mean, great football being played there for all the viewers out there that don't typically watch the NAIA. I myself will check on the Sun Conference even more this year after this interview for sure. A question I have, I don't want to bring back any sour memories, but looking at your guys' resume the past couple years, you guys almost beat two FCS schools in Butler this year, and I think it was Stetson the year before. I know it was Stetson. I think it was 2023. But
Yes. It was
what was
23
oh,
and Butler was 2022.
okay, Butler's 2022, so my mistake. But what was that like for the program, just going toe to toe with these two FCS schools? I know Butler was in contention this year. Butler's been significantly improved, and then Stetson is still finding their way, but still an FCS school. But what was that like to almost knock off two FCS schools for the program?
Um, Knowing that we should have knocked out both of them because we had leads or we had a lead going to fourth quarter. The Butler game, the Stetson game was close. And, at Stetson game earlier this season, we are actually down a couple of our, starting defense and a couple of our players. So knowing that we should have beat them, always sucks. And I'm a big competitor, so it's always, I have a little sour thought in the back of my mind always about, when I think about those games. But playing in those atmospheres, both of those games were, because they were FCS and, they were, more established schools. They had a big stadium. Their facilities were nice, but those stadiums playing in, and both those games were actually the Stetson was a night game, and playing at a night game under the lights and a bigger stadium. It felt kind of like high school days, but it also sometimes you got to sit back, even when you're playing, just think and realize how grateful and blessed you are to play in those opportunities and play in those high level games. And I was fortunate enough to play in all of those. And the Butler one, it was just so big because that was our first FCS matchup. And we really went toe to toe with them. And, I'll say to this day, until the day I die, that we should have beat them. But it's okay. It was awesome to be a part of that, and I know it's big for the program playing in an atmosphere like that and being able to play against an FCS school and an FCS school wanting to take a chance on playing us. A lot of times you can't get FCS teams or teams that are in a higher rank to get you to play them unless they think you can make it competitive or they might blow you out by 50, and that's usually what it is sometimes. Like when you see UM or Alabama pay some of these teams, at that level they're paying them because to fill out their schedule, and they'll pay them 50,000 to blow them out by 50. But at these lower levels, you're like, where the money's not as, doesn't go around like that, and you each school isn't as fortunate as these major D1 Power Five schools that you play these games and anyone can win. It can be anyone's game and anyone's day, and both of those times we had them on the ropes, and we just couldn't get the job done. But both those games showed us and helped us grow and helped us, bless you, babe, helped us get to where we need to be by the end of the season. In each of those seasons, we couldn't finish games in the fourth quarter early on, and it was all about the mental toughness in the second half. And by the time it was all said and done for me this past year, I can tell and see the growth in this program and in these players and some of my teammates and even coaches that I didn't see those couple years ago. So, like I said, everything's just a lesson, and I can say that you know everyone was able to learn from those games, and so I just hope everyone soaked them in, because you don't get those that often.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, two historic venues. I know Stetson. I'm not sure if you knew this, but Stetson Stadium was the filming site for The Waterboy, for part of the movie. That's where the Mud Dogs played. Bit of a nerdy fact there with Stetson Stadium, and Butler Stadium's been around since 1928. Just a very historic venue, but I believe too, which is how much St. Thomas has risen. That the next couple times that they play FCS schools, I mean, I think they'll come out on top soon. I mean, I'm not sure what the future schedules for you guys look like, but I hope you guys get another opportunity at FCS school.
I hope they do too, as well. I really do. I know they'll be ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to you as a player, question I have is, did you have a defensive back, whether it be in the Sun Conference or any team that you played that you hated facing?
Um, I'd probably have to say the cornerback for Butler. That was kind of matched up on me the majority of the game. He had my number that game. I didn't play too well that game, um, but I remember him, like, he just had really good technique, and I not to knock NAIA or anything like that, but usually don't see technique like that being taught at the NAIA level at the corner position, and usually in most positions. I can just tell how fundamentally sound he was, because he was 5'9" and he's going up against a 6'1" receiver, but he had the technique, he had the hands, he knew how to place his hands and the timing of when to jam and everything like that. So what I'm saying, he really didn't make me work that day. Um, it was a great matchup against him. It's within the Sun Conference of the NAIA. Um, Probably early on in my career, the Kaiser DB, his name was Sage Chen Young, I think was his name, and he was an All American DB, and I was able to match up against him one year, and it was just a great matchup. And then the next year, unfortunately, he was out for the year due to injury, so I didn't get to face him again. But he's a really good corner that came from a D1 atmosphere, and ended up at Kaiser, so he knew how to be fundamentally sound, which is the biggest thing which separates a good corner in AI from one who needs a little bit more work, is how good you are and how you can stick to your fundamentals. Another one was I think his name is Marcel Blocker. I think he won Defensive Back of the Year for the Sun Conference this year. He played at Florida Memorial University. He's also really well, and he's actually the opposite of the last two guys I named. He's more tall and lanky. He's like 6'3", really lanky, long wingspan. What I'm saying, can cover ground really good. He's a really good DB, really physical, man. So shout out to him.
Yeah, definitely great players. I mean, from how you described, for sure. And mentioning the Butler defensive back that you were paired with, it's interesting because the PFL, although it's non-scholarship, they still produce good NFL talent. I mean, Josh Johnson has stuck around on rosters as a backup and third string quarterback throughout his career for almost over a decade and a half. And I think there was a tight end, Adam Troutman,
Mhm.
drafted from Dayton for the Saints. So definitely a lot of talent, a lot of talent out there in the Pioneer Football League, despite it being non-scholarship. So I mean, it sounds great, those battles with those players that you mentioned.
Yeah, man, it's awesome, man. Seeing even players from our level, even like those FCS players, like I want to see us all win, because we already frowned upon because we're not from D1 or even Power 5 or FBS or even FCS, you know. So seeing any guy that comes from there, the NAIA win and be able to make it to that level, it's opportunity. It's a great opportunity. It's a great blessing, man. And, you know, just shout out to them. So, you know, Adam Troutman, yeah, I did not know he was from Dana or was drafted from there. But I do know that he is, I think right now, the tight end one for the Broncos right now. So, you know, shout out to him, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talking about, I guess, scouting and players just having success in the next level. So far, how has the draft process gone for you?
Um, Quite different. You know, I've yet to get an agent. I'm still weighing my options in terms of I don't want to say even playing football in my future because I know I still want to make an attempt, or if I just need to, you know, take a little pause of hiatus, or a period of hiatus, from it, after Unity Beach Bowl because I have a lot of things I got to take care of back at home, financial wise. You know, trying to finish up my masters. That's my primary thing right now. Is, you know, getting my master's degree and being able to stay afloat until then. With me because I have my own apartment with me and my girlfriend, and we have a nice little son, a little fur four-legged son, that we take care of, that we adopted. So, you know, sometimes you got to be able to sit back and think and really realize that sometimes there's more to life than, you know, those 100 yards on the field, man. And um, I think a lot of the Unity Beach Bowl helped me a lot with if I was able to put on or if I was able to know that that was my last time putting on pads, I had so much fun doing it, and I had a great showing. You know, so I can able to say that I'm done playing football, and I had a great time doing it. My last time playing, it was awesome. But I don't know yet. I was invited to the combine for the LFL, which is a league based out of Mexico. I think it's on April 5th in Maryland. I'm still not sure if I'm gonna go or not. We'll see. You know, I'm still weighing my options, figuring out my financials and everything like that. So like I said, those school's been my number one priority. Just trying to get the masters done because I know it'll help me out in the long run. But in terms of the draft process, it's been real quiet. I've been in contact with that scout though from the LFL, and I did, you know, get my coach, who he's the coach of one of the top, or I think the best arena league in the country. He's the coach of like one of the teams there. So you know, I got his information and stuff, and so I could be in contact with him if I want to. But I've also been kind of trying to wait for the next UFL showcase. That's really what I want to try. You know, I don't want to say I'm shooting low, but that is my dream is to play in the UFL at least because I know then I'll have an opportunity for, you know, the higher level. And if I play a career in the UFL and don't play in the NFL, I'd be super grateful. I just want to be able to play some type of pro football in the United States. Even the CFO, I would, you know, taking looking into and liking into. But I know that's probably would be my last kind of like hoorah is that UFL combine or you know showcase that comes up towards the end of the year. So I'll definitely be training for that. But in terms of me going to LFA combine or even you know if I go and then they offer me a contract, I can't guarantee that I would accept it or sign it yet. So you know. But I can say that I'm very appreciative and thankful for what football has done for me. It's taken me to new heights in my life, and you know, and just learning, you know, find out a lot about myself and who I am as a person and as a competitor. It really did teach me a lot and help me a lot. So, you know, I think that's half the battle is knowing when it's done, knowing when the journey's over, and I think that's what a lot of us athletes struggle with is knowing when the journey's over and accepting that sometimes that it's over. So, me, I can like I know right now I could be it would still hurt, it would suck, and I'd have my moments of sadness. But I know like I would be a okay, you know, if this was my last time playing football. So
Yeah, that's very well said. I mean, um, yeah, like it is tough. I mean, speaking from I guess my perspective, just playing high school football, like at the time it sucked, like not being able to play college, like definitely being unrecruited and just going to school. I mean, not playing any sports, but I will say I think that my love for the game has become enhanced since I've pursued this whole writing and journalism thing. But I mean, I definitely relate to that a lot. But I mean, your performance at the Unity Bowl, a great finale to your career, 3 touchdowns. I mean, honestly, at least I'd say like if I were estimating, I wasn't keeping count. At least 150 receiving yards, if not around 200. I don't know if you guys got an official stat sheet, but you had such a great finish to your career. If it is the finish with that game, and it's great you mentioned the UFL because I just love watching the UFL. Just honestly, just because most of the games are on Saturdays, I just love watching football on Saturdays compared to the Sunday scaries. So I've
Yeah,
definitely latched on to the UFL more than honestly, I'm a casual NFL fan and more of a diehard UFL fan, to be honest with you.
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Um, I love football on Saturdays too. That's why college football is always the best time. Like that. I'd say from August to February when the Super Bowl happens. That's the best time of the year for sports because, um, or I you have to count July because July is NHL finals as well, Stanley Cup finals, and then the heart of baseball season. Going into October, you get the beginning of NBA and the baseball playoffs, and it's just so good that time of the year. NFL starting, you have college football. You know what I'm saying? You're in the heat of just so much sports, man. As a sports fan and me and someone who can watch. I can watch a hockey game, an NFL game, an NBA game all in one day and be fine with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm in heaven watching all that stuff and all that going on at the same time. I'm a big sport. I don't want to say big sports guru or say guru, but I'm a big just. I love keeping up with statistics and knowing random facts. And you know what I'm saying? Like every day I watch some type of sports trivia. I have a bunch of YouTube pages that I follow that are sports trivia pages, and they do trivia. And I just love being able to know ball. That's the the saying you say is do you know ball? And yeah, I can say for my age and compared to others, I know a pretty good amount of ball. So shout out. A lot of people don't know. Devontae Turpin, receiver for the Cowboys, star returner, Pro Bowl returner, UFL MVP, inaugural UFL MVP.
Yeah, I mean that one. It's funny you remind me of that one because the Generals were my team. Honestly, I'm a big Doug Flutie fan, so that was the team that I latched onto, and it just hurts that they don't exist anymore. But man, that 2022 team, like that's the closest that any pro team that I've rooted for has come to a title. That team, so it was a fun ride. But yeah, Devontae Turpin was fun to watch that year.
Where are the Generals based out of again?
They were based out of New Jersey, but I mean, of course, when like there was no hub home for them, like
Mm.
when the league was going out in the hub, so it just dissolved.
And aren't you based out of Alabama?
No, so I'm kind of all over the place. So I went to high school in New Mexico, and then went to military school. So this is my second time being stationed in Georgia for military
Oh,
education,
okay.
um, and then I was stationed in El Paso for the past couple years. That's like the longest duty station I've had. So I've been all over the place, but as of right now, like I'm in Georgia, and that's why I was at the Unity Bowl. Just drove 3.5 hours on a Sunday.
Awesome. What branch of the military are you in?
I'm in the Army.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. God bless you. Thank you for your,
Thank you.
service and your dedication. And it's funny you say that. I remember you saying it was either Georgia or Alabama. That's why I asked. But, you know what I'm saying? You probably don't know, but this is their second year in the Sun Conference. Thomas University out of Thomasville, Georgia, is a member of the Sun Conference. And they just started their football program. They're a military school as well.
Oh, okay.
So we were able to drive up this year and play them. Their first year they came down to us, but if that's a team you might want to, if you want to look into or follow, or what I'm saying, you could definitely check them out. I know I'm not sure how far it is from you, but they're in Thomasville, Georgia. That's where they're at. But what I'm saying, if you want to keep up with the Sun Conference, or what I'm saying, anytime that there's a Sun Conference team in town, they have a home game, you can definitely go check them out because they're a young program on the come up. They reminded me a lot of us, our first 2 years where we were trying to get on our feet and figure ourselves out, figure out what offense, what defense we want to run, and just what our culture and what our identity was. And that's them right now. I think first year they ran a triple option, but I think this year they kind of got away from it, but they still did kind of run a lot of option with quarterback run. So what I'm saying, that's a team to be on the lookout for in the Sun Conference.
Yeah, I'll only be here for like a few months, but they'll be on my radar. And it sounds familiar. It's funny you mentioned that because doing some research on an old Army player, I've been an Army fan my whole life. My parents were enlisted in the Army. So I thought that the Army Black Knights were the Army's football team rather than just the military academy. So I'm a huge Army fan. And I saw that a former quarterback we had that didn't graduate but ended up enlisting in the Army played for Thomas, Chris Carter. I don't know if that name rings a bell, but I think it all lines up with you saying that they ran triple option and it's a military school. So I don't know if you remember their quarterback number 7, Chris Carter. He was a great quarterback. He started the 2015 Army Navy game, and like for a while I thought he was the future of the program. But I was glad to see that he was able to finish his college career.
Oh yeah, also I honestly don't remember. I really don't. I wish I could, but I know they did have a quarterback who was running a lot. So
That might have been him. I mean, he ran triple option at Army, so it makes sense. But they will definitely be on my radar just by you mentioning it, and just by proxy of them being kind of a military team and having that association with the quarterback that I used to like watching.
mm, awesome.
But I don't have any further questions, Kalitri. Is there anything else you want to add or mention, or anyone you want to shout out before we conclude this interview?
Jeez, I could go on and on. I'm a person of spreading love and peace and just spreading positivity and encouraging everyone. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't come on these things or anytime anyone asks for my opinion or we're talking about anything. I don't ever like to talk down on anyone or you know what I'm saying. Or I'm not one of those guys that will be like, oh, I'm better than this guy or this guy isn't good or this and that. So I love to shout at everyone. But a couple of people maybe I want to shout. Of course, my mom always. God first though. Thank you God for everything. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I wouldn't be here or be the person I am without him today. Without him, none of us are anything. But of course, thankful for my mom. She's just been my rock, my number one supporter. Been there for me every step of the way. Um, and just been supporting me and carrying the load. Even when I didn't have it, or if I don't have it, my mom always got it, and she'll find a way to make it happen for me. Um, and of course, shout out my girlfriend. We've been together almost 3 years now, and hopefully a lot, hoping and praying for a lot, many more years with her. She's been, when her softball career ended, she was able to, just step in into it and just being a full time, honestly, person that just working, of course, but also just taking care of me, making sure I was okay, make sure I was always fed, and make sure she was always, cooking for me, make sure I had something to eat, just taking real good care of me and just helping me be a better man, a better boyfriend every single day. Um, and even honestly, even a better, future father. Even with our dog right now, I always call him my son. I'm one of those type of guys that always say my dog is my son. Like I literally created him. I don't care what no one says, and you know, just being able to raise another, life form with her. It's been awesome. It's been a blessing, and we love him so much, and so grateful for him. Shout out to you, bro. Really shout out to you. Um, just trying to follow your dreams and follow your passion of loving sports and doing this while you're in military school, and just trying to give exposure to those like me who are at the lower level and don't get on the big cameras, that aren't seen on social media, that aren't all over cover pages. You know what I'm saying? And being able to just shout out our talent and give us an opportunity to do the unthinkable. And one more shout out to my best friend Xavier Mitchell, man. He's had ups and downs, and that's one person that I'll ride with to the day I die, of how great, and in terms of me playing against someone, he's the best football player I've ever played against in terms of discipline and a mixture of discipline, skill, and just heart. He was 5'9", but he's like 5'8", 5'9", but he's a dog, man. He'll lift 500 pounds and he can run a 4.4. Like he's even clocked at a 4.4, 4.41, I think, for a 40. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he has the intangibles. He has everything that I think could translate to playing at a higher level. But you know what I'm saying? He unfortunately, I don't want to say unfortunately because his kids are a blessing, but he's had two kids and a lot of things outside of football that he's had to focus on that made him step away from the game. But he's the most disciplined person I've ever been around, and he's a role model for me every single day, man. And he manages to make it work, and he's getting his masters with two kids, and he just always pushing me to be the best. So my development would have been nowhere near as good or as far without him, man. So shout out to him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're able to shout out so many people. I'm glad those people had it's great influence on you. Thank you again for the gratitude. Really, I mean, I just do this because I love it, and honestly, just thank you for coming on. Because sometimes I think a lot of players think guys like me are just big nerds, and I understand journalists can be annoying, but I try not to be that. But I'm grateful that you gave me the time for this interview, and I mean, I really enjoyed the conversation.
Nah, thank you, man. There's nothing wrong with being a nerd, bro. gotten to learn that, I went through my stage of like, oh, I don't want to be a nerd, I don't want to be smart no more. But man, knowledge is power. The more you know, the farther you'll go in life, man. Knowledge is so much power. Being able to know things, being able to educate other people on things, you know what I'm saying, and being able to be educated and humble enough to receive, like knowledge from others. It's a lot. It's something I don't take for granted, man. So keep being you, man. I'm always gonna continue to be me about that, and learn, love, and crave to learn more knowledge. I mean, learn more and just continue to build my knowledge every single day on anything. It could be from it could be from anything. I just love to just soak things in, man. So of course, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you again, Kalitri. And yeah, this was really enjoyable. I had a great time. And for everyone listening, watching at home, whether Kalitri plays in the future or not, just, keep track of him, keep track of St. Thomas out in Florida. Definitely a program on the rise that deserves more attention along with their whole conference, the Sun Conference. And until next time, everyone, thanks for watching or listening. Peace, love, and soul on the Burger Popper.
Thank you so much, man. God bless everyone. Bye.